Here's the making of a dodecahedron. I made it out of Doug fir. It's all vertical grain Doug fir, so there's no knots. I started by making each of the edges of this shape on the table saw by setting the saw to 31.7 degrees, which is one of the angles that relates each of the faces of this polyhedron to each other. The faces are all made out of pentagons, and each of those pentagons meets at this angle. And I was able to cut out many of these boards from just one block of wood. I had to set it so that the saw blade was exactly half of the height of the entire block so that it would cut that little triangular kind of wedge out of it. And then I put it down flat on the table saw's table. These little micro jigs are really cool because you can support the whole material as you push it through the saw. And I was cutting off each of the edges to make that little sharp edge be basically perpendicular to each of the faces when these pieces all come together to make the faces of the polyhedron. So you can see it's cutting that sharp edge to be a 90-degree angle. And then I had a whole bunch of these little pieces, and I had to cut off 45-degree angles. You don't see me making a cut here because I'm holding the camera with one hand and it's not safe to push it through the saw blade. But basically I had the table saw aligned so that it made all of these little pieces. There's 30 pieces altogether because there's 30 edges in a dodecahedron. That angle that you see right there is 54 degrees on either side. That's because the interior angle of a pentagon is 108 degrees, and this is half of that angle because you put two boards together to make the entire interior angle. And so each of these pieces is 8 inches long. The cat's kind of going crazy. And then I glued all those pieces together slowly, kind of, using hot glue, which is not necessarily the strongest way to assemble this thing, but it is certainly easy. And here's the finished product.